It is time to reveal my bold predictions for the 2026 NHL season. Plus, in the second half of this video, we're going to be grilling some of yours. So without further ado, let's find out my spiciest takes for this next year. And with the obligatory like and subscribe out of the way, let's get right into it. My first bold prediction of the day relates to the St. Louis Blues and their superstar in Robert Thomas. He's something that I've been a big fan of for a long time as one of the NHL's premier playmakers and most underrated ones out there. I mean, for how much he's led the Blues in so many categories, it's kind of surprising the lack of attention he gets. Really, since his 77-point season back in 2022, it feels like the sky is the limit for Robert Thomas. But my bold prediction is that he is going to be an 100-plus point scorer this next year for St. Louis. Now, the thing is, if Thomas played a fully healthy season this last year, he wouldn't have been all that far off. He got 81 points in 70 games, and if he was fully healthy throughout the course of the season, then he would have been close. Maybe not as close as some other players, but only a few points off. And I think the Blues are still going to be a competent playoff team. They're still going to end up making it, and they're going to have some good weapons around him, plus a fantastic goal-scoring sniper in Jimmy Stuggerud added to the team as a rookie, and I think those two together could do some really good damage immediately. Whether the rookie actually pops off or not is still a question, but I don't think there's many questions surrounding Robert Thomas and what he's capable of. This is somebody that I think is becoming one of the most underrated playmakers out there, and I think will get the attention he finally deserves because of a fantastic season I think he'll have coming up. Moving on to my second bold prediction of the day here. This is one involving a Western Conference team here, and the team that I think will be the worst team in the Western Conference this next year. I don't think it's going to be Chicago. I don't think it's going to be San Jose because I think they could make some pretty interesting leaps. The team that I see finishing last place is the Seattle Kraken. Now, I actually broke this down a little bit in my ranking all teams video, but I think Seattle is just kind of in a weird spot right now, trying to figure out their identity and in a lot of ways, trying to find out who they even are. Because to me, I look at a lot of this lineup and it just really doesn't give me much inspiration. I like a lot of the pieces here, guys like Capo Caco, Shane Wright, Matty Beniers, but a lot of them are kind of more younger, unproven commodities. And it feels like Seattle in a lot of ways have given these pretty solid young players positions where they need to be elite for Seattle to make much progress at all. To me, even though I think we'll have a solid year out of Capo Caco, Matty Beniers will hopefully rebound, I just don't think that's enough for Seattle to contend much in this Western Conference that really has a lot of those bottom feeders really improving. I mean, even a team like Chicago that I still don't think will be out of the basement, I think has made a lot of leaps and bounds over the last couple of seasons, and they're a team, even though it hasn't had the progress yet, they're going to have a lot of youth coming up starting out this next season that I think will really propel them that simply just has better talent than Seattle has right now. Really, I think the only thing that's been keeping them out of the basement so far has been Joey Daccord and just how solid of a goaltender he has been, but I'm not sure if he's going to be that elite guy still going forward and how much that consistency is going to continue. Plus, I'm just not really a fan of Lane Lambert as a head coach. There's still time for me to be proven wrong with this, but I just think for Seattle, even though they won't be a horrible team necessarily, I still think they're going to come in last place in the West in a pretty crowded conference. Plus, I think with how little sellers there are in the market right now, I could see a team like Seattle being one of the more active sellers in the deadline next season, which of course will lead to more losses down the stretch. Moving on to my third bold prediction of the day here. This one relates to the Calder Trophy race, and I think this race is going to be fascinating. I'm going to have a ranking video on all my top candidates in the next week or so, but my third bold prediction is that Ryan Leonard is not going to be a top 3 or top 5 candidate for the Calder Trophy after this next season. And I think that might be pretty blasphemous because at certain points, I was maybe expecting Leonard to be one of, if not the contender for the Calder Trophy this next year. Even though I've always had a soft spot for Ivan Demidov, and I always kind of thought if he came over that 2026 would be the year that he would be the Calder Trophy winner, and might still be. Ryan Leonard was somebody that I think could have brought some competition, but I just think considering how weird his stint was with Washington to start out last season and not really being given a lot of opportunity both last year and I think this next season, I think it'll make it a little bit harder for Leonard to really be able to make a name for himself in year one. I predict Leonard to still be solid, and as of right now, I think I'd rank him 6th in my Calder Trophy candidates. I think he'll come around that range, but I would not be surprised if he's outside the top 3 just because of the depth that Washington has, and I think because of that, it's going to make Leonard's position fluctuate. I mean, really, when you look at it in Washington's forward group, he's likely not going to be playing above guys like Wilson or Alexi Protas on that right wing consistently. And as a centerman, you already have Dylan Strome and Pierre-Luc Dubois as Cs, so that makes the center position a little bit more filled. So even if he is to play center or wing, he's likely going to be playing in a bottom six role, likely not going to be given much power play time either. And especially for Calder candidates, that opportunity is, to me, the biggest thing that could go against them. When you look at especially a ton of the other guys that might be strong candidates for the Calder Trophy, guys like us on the defense, Zane Parekh, Z Buum, on the forward groups, guys like Ivan Demidov and Jimmy Snuggerud, they're going to have the opportunity to really cook for themselves in year one, which I just don't think is going to be the case for Ryan Leonard. It's a shame because I think he will still have a solid rookie season. I think he'll have a definitive start with Washington and still establish himself as an NHLer, but I just don't quite see a 50-60 point season coming out of him. More so a 35, maybe 40 point season, still very respectable, but maybe not the rookie season we were expecting him to have maybe a year ago. Onto my fourth bold prediction here today. This one might be one of the spiciest of all, but it relates to the Atlantic Division and the playoff race there. My fourth bold prediction is that the Ottawa Senators will finish above the Toronto Maple Leafs in the Atlantic. Now, I'm sure saying that will spark no bad blood between the two fan bases because you guys love each other, but it's interesting when you look at the Atlantic, especially relating to last year, where you had the Toronto Maple Leafs by quite a big margin being able to win the Atlantic, 108 points there, very successful regular season, and the Ottawa Senators just being able to make it with 97 points in 82 games. But I just look at the off seasons and I look at both of these teams and I saw the Ottawa Senators as kind of an underrated team that I saw improving. Jordan Spence I thought was a big addition onto that defense. Lars Eller I like as a forward addition, but a lot of good depth moves that I think will make Ottawa better in the end. Plus I see massive seasons out of a lot of the younger players like Jake Sanderson and Tim Stützle, especially Brady Tkachuk I think will rebound a bit in terms of the point scoring. So I think Ottawa is just going to continue to get better, while I see a team like Toronto, regular season wise at least, being a little bit less successful. Of course, when you have Mitch Marner lead the team, you might have better results in the playoffs. That's yet to be seen. I'm just talking about the regular season here, though, and I could pretty easily see a situation where both Ottawa and Toronto are fighting for maybe that third spot in the Atlantic Division when it's all said and done. I could see teams like Tampa Bay and Florida being able to capture those top two spots, but for Toronto, I just don't think they're able to replace the Marner offense, at least in the regular season, efficiently. I like Matthias Michelli, but besides that, Dakota Joshua isn't going to give you a ton of points or anything, and still I think that goal scoring is especially important when you have a tight Atlantic Division like the Leafs are facing. I see the Senators having a bit more regular season success, maybe not as much playoff success, but at least in the regular season being higher when they're all placed up. Now, the first bold prediction we have submitted here is coming from the GOAT himself, eLiaminator, saying that Jet Greaves will be the starter for Columbus and will have an above 9-10 save percentage as their starter and basically as a rookie. Now, eLiaminator, I'm not sure why you're stealing my predictions. I'm going to have to look into that soon, but honestly, I tend to agree with this. Maybe not a 9-10 save percentage, but I could see around a 9.05. Jet Greaves is one of the more underrated names, I would say, as a goaltender right now, considering just how good his last couple of seasons have been, but especially last year, what he was able to do in both the AHL and NHL level. And when he played for the Blue Jackets, he got a 938 save percentage in 11 games for them. Obviously, super short sample size, but I think Greaves is kind of an underrated name out there. Not the biggest goaltender in the world, definitely not a name brand guy yet. But I think in Columbus's system, with Merzlikins being not great right now, there's opportunity for a player like Greaves to get that starter job, and I think he'll end up winning it. The jury's still out on whether Columbus will actually end up being a playoff team still, but a decent goaltender, a competent one, will go such a long way to making that a reality. Even though I still have my doubts in the Eastern Conference, I want to see Columbus make it, but having just a decent average goaltender like a Jet Greaves, if he were to do so, would do wonders for them, and quite frankly, I want to see it, because Jet Greaves, that name is amazing. Make him an NHL starter, dang it, hockey gods, I want to see it. Now we got one here from Oilers fan 2997 saying, I've been saying it to all my friends, but my hot take is that David Pastrnak will be the next superstar to be traded. And then we got Club Spots coming in with a comment, he'd look good in the winged wheel. I get what you guys are saying. Okay. Now, I'd imagine with this comment, like I'm sure a lot of us are imagining, the Boston Bruins likely would end up missing the playoffs next year, which I see as a pretty big reality. To go to the Bruins missing the playoffs, though, last year, to then trading away David Pastrnak, I mean, to me, that would be quite literally the worst thing the Boston Bruins could possibly do. I get it that he's going to be 30 next May, but at the same time, this Bruins team cannot allow another fan favorite to be lost. You already traded away Brad Marchand. You already have the retirements that they've had recently, but to lose this type of player, this unbelievable force for your team, something that's still able to put up 100+ points when your team is in the gutter, I don't know how the Bruins would do that, but then again, they traded Brad Marchand to the Florida Panthers, so anything is possible. The thing is, though, Pastrnak does have a full no-move clause, so if he doesn't want to get traded, he's not going to get traded. But I could see a situation where, after another season of just brutal losses in Boston, that maybe he might want to explore something else. But still, I think it's a little bit far-fetched for me, but even then, what they've commented, potentially him in a Red Wings jersey, I mean, that is exactly what the Detroit Red Wings need. But again, that's kind of why I see the Bruins holding off for now, because they might be a little bit stupid, but I hope they're not that stupid. Now we got another one here from Cody Davis saying the Kings finish last in the Pacific and the San Jose Sharks fight for a wild card spot. Now, I'm the first one to say that I did not like the LA Kings offseason, but to see them last in the Pacific, I think would be absolutely wild, but not the most crazy thing in the world. I'll just say that, because I think in the Kings placement right now, they're relying a lot on that established veteran core they have to really produce the results for them. If, let's say, Kopitar ends up sliding down a bit, Drew Doughty has another unhealthy season, if Darcy Kuemper isn't the god that he was in the regular season of last year, then, honestly, I can see them missing the playoffs. I still don't see last place in the Pacific, but missing the playoffs wouldn't be the most surprising thing in the world. I think for this Kings team, they've really tried to go after a lot of playoff-style players, which I don't think really works in the regular season, and honestly, I don't think it's going to work that much in the playoffs either. We'll just have to wait and see, though, because there's, of course, the emergence of Brant Clark that could be huge for them. Hopefully, Quinton Byfield's able to take another step, so there is still things that could improve for them, but honestly, I don't think it's super far-fetched. Again, though, last place in the Pacific, below a team like Seattle, that would shock me more than anything. Now, this one actually relates to the Calder Trophy discussion we were having earlier from Gabriel Rockman saying that Andrew Crystal will outscore his fellow rookie and Capitals teammate, Ryan Leonard. Now, I gotta be honest, this might be one of the spiciest takes of all, because this one would really shock me. Considering the Capitals, their depth, it's hard enough even for a player like Ryan Leonard, who's already played in the NHL this last year for them, to get even a third line spot. Imagine how hard it will be for Andrew Crystal as a left wing to be able to get spots above Anthony Beauvillier, even a Brandon Duhaime. I mean, it's possible, but I just don't really see the Caps being in a position to play a guy like Crystal at fourth line minutes next year and try to rush him. I mean, this is the same Washington Capitals team that kept guys like McMichael and Lapierre even in the AHL for as long as they did. I just don't see the rush, really, to have Crystal in the lineup. But I mean, hey, crazier things have happened, and obviously Andrew Crystal's WHL production is absolutely unbelievable for both Kelowna and the Chiefs this last year. I just think for him, though, it would be so much better for his career to not be rushed onto the NHL and to just have a full, healthy season for Hershey in the AHL, get used to the pace, the physicality especially, which I think is going to be the biggest hurdle for Crystal long-term. I still think there's a ton of potential there, and we can maybe have the conversation about him being the higher scorer down the line, but not this next year. It's just not happening. I'm sorry. Now we got another Calder-related one here coming from Real of Time 1010 saying that Zane Parekh and Ivan Demidov come in as the favorites for the Calder, but Jimmy Snuggerud ends up winning it by a wide margin, having a Joe Nieuwendyk-like rookie season. Now I gotta say, as a pretty big fan of Jimmy Snuggerud and what he's capable of, I don't know if he's up to that quality of level, but hey, if he's playing on the first line with guys like Robert Thomas, like we discussed before, I think they could have a pretty good connection there. It's not the craziest thing in the world, though I will say a Joe Nieuwendyk-like rookie season would be insanity. I mean, all respect to Joe Nieuwendyk in this, because I think he quite frankly might deserve some more respect. I mean, the guy got 51 goals and 92 points in his first full NHL season. Even though era adjusted, I think it might be a little bit less than that. Still, that would mean really Snuggerud getting around like 75, 80 points in his rookie season, which would be wild. I mean, it's not the craziest thing in the world still, but I think Snuggerud's more likely to be around a 60-point guy with especially a ton of goals, which, of course, Nieuwendyk was great at early on in his career. If I had to predict things, again, I think about 35 goals, 60 points, as I think around the sweet spot for Snuggerud. I think the goal scoring is going to be on display, especially on the power play, and that's where he's going to be feasting the most. So maybe this is kind of how you view St. Louis. If you see them as a team that could win the Central, for example, then maybe Snuggerud could be a massive part of that. I still think he will be a good part of a good playoff team, just maybe not as good as maybe you're predicting. But still, I think Snuggerud has potential to put up those type of numbers eventually, just not in year one yet. And then we got a final bold prediction here coming from CamC9225 saying the Sharks win at least a couple of games. And I mean, it's bold, but they do have John Klingberg on the roster, so still a wait and see. But thank you guys so much for tuning in for the bold predictions here today, and thank you all to everybody that submitted your bold predictions. We had so many good ones that I couldn't even include, so thank you guys for your time here today. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure that like button, hit that subscribe and the notification bell to support the channel and see all the other videos coming out throughout the off season. If you guys want to watch some more, you can click on this card for all my hockey ratings content in one playlist there, and I will see you guys in the next one. Make sure you guys drink some water, get some sun, and have a fantastic hockey day. Goodbye.